Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming at such relatively short notice. Well, this is a sad occasion for all of us. Last night, one of our servicemen died. Corporal First Class NS Aloysius Pang succumbed to his injuries in a Waikato hospital in New Zealand. It's a very sad occasion, and the SAF expresses our deepest condolences to his family. It's painful for us, and we grieve with his family. You know, I've called for this press conference today to share some facts of the incident, the medical treatment that was administered, the safety measures that have been taken in light of the incident. So with me today, we have a Chief of Army, we have a Commander of the Combat Service Support Command, we have the Chief of the Army Medical Officer, and we have the Secretary of the Armed Forces Council. So we'll start with facts of the incident before moving along to the other speakers. We'll start with the facts first. Siwei.
First of all, let me just say that I'm very sorry for the loss of a fellow soldier and a precious son. I extend again our heartfelt condolences to the Aloysius family and loved ones. We're all saddened by this incident. I'd like to share some facts of the incident, and I'd like to state up front that this is based on the initial findings from his unit in New Zealand. Aloysius was on in-camp training in Exercise Thunder Warrior. Exercise Thunder Warrior is an artillery live-firing exercise that we conduct in New Zealand. This exercise involved the Singapore Self-Propelled Howitzer, or what we call the SSPH. So Aloysius is an armament technician. He's trained to perform maintenance and repair for the SSPH. At the time of the incident, Aloysius was with another technician and also a gun detachment commander. They were called in to perform diagnosis on a suspected fault in the gun. So as part of the rectification process, the gun barrel has to be lowered to its standby position. And you can see from the picture, it appears from the initial findings that Aloysius was unable to get out of the way as the gun barrel was lowered as part of this task. He was caught between the end of the gun barrel and the interior of the SSPH, and he suffered crush injuries as a result. I have two more pictures as well as a video to explain the context of this incident. As you can see from the picture, when the gun barrel is lowered in the SSPH, the space in the cabin is actually reduced. However, it is typically sufficient for artillery operators as well as our technicians to be able to operate within this cabin. What we found is that unfortunately, as I mentioned up front, he was unable to get out of the way of the barrel as he was lowered. I have a video to show how the barrel movement is like in a normal operation. Let's play the video. This is, of course, a very unfortunate incident. We have operated the SSPH gun for the last 15 years without any serious injury. What we really need to do at this point is a full investigation to really understand how such an incident could have happened in this case. And what we'll do MINDEF will also convene an independent COI to allow us to understand the circumstances leading to this incident and the cause of his serious injury. Whatever the nature or cause of the incident, we take every training incident very seriously. Immediately after this incident, we called for a safety pause for the artillery training in New Zealand. And because of the nature of this particular incident, we also called for an immediate pause on all maintenance-related works and training, both in New Zealand as well as in Singapore. Right now, we have called for Army-wide safety timeout in order to allow our units time to review their safety processes and also to review their training tempo. We allow them to reinforce safety procedures as well as drills we operate in the field. And this is also a good time for us to remind all our soldiers on taking care of their own personal safety as well as that of their fellow buddies and soldiers. I called for a safety call this morning with my Army commanders as well as all my trainers, over 1,200 of them. We may have sound safety systems and processes, we have good commanders on the ground, but we recognize that every time we fall short, the cost could be very costly. I've told all my commanders that this cannot be business as usual. We are very sorry for every training death that happens in the SCF. And I've told them that we must do better. And we must do our utmost to restore confidence in our training safety and to ensure the safety of all our soldiers. I've told my commanders that we will review our training tempo and the training activities that we have, because we want to put a singular focus on training safety on the ground going forward. If this means removing training activities, reducing some of the training that we do, in the meantime, we will do that in order to give time and emphasis and focus on training on the ground. I would like to add that since the incident, our overriding focus has been on providing the best medical care to Aloysius when he was injured and also supporting his family. This is something that our commanders and counsellors on the ground in New Zealand will continue to do, and we will continue to provide the best assistance possible to his family in this difficult time. Thank you.
Could I get Commander CSS Command Colonel Terry to just share a little bit about the way we train our NSmen, and in particular this particular group NSmen?
So before a major exercise, NSmen undergo a comprehensive training program. In specific for the maintenance crew, NSmen go through refresher training on the equipment inspection as well as maintenance tasks, such as demonstration by trainers on how to perform maintenance tasks before the servicemen conduct their own hands-on training. All these are done with emphasis on training safety and training precaution as they go about doing these maintenance tasks. Additional practical sessions on troubleshooting common faults are also conducted. Aloysius has undergone this refresher training and is qualified and competent to do his job in exercise Thunder Warrior.
You know, a lot has also been written on the medical, on what we did on the medical front. Can I get Hamo to just say a few words?
So I have been involved in his medical care since the accident on Saturday, but I mainly played a role of coordinating between the Singapore and the New Zealand team, as well as consulting specialists and medical experts in Singapore and getting some advice and providing these medical advice to the Chief of Army. When the accident happened, Aloysius was treated on site by the SAF doctor and his team. And after that, he was evacuated by helicopter to Waikato Hospital, which is a tertiary hospital as well as a regional trauma center. And at that facility, he underwent surgery as well as ICU care to treat the multiple injuries that he sustained during the incident. Immediately after the accident, actually, Aloysius was conscious. He was able to speak to the doctor as well as the medical team that was tending to him. In fact, after the first surgery that took place that same night, the next morning, the next day when Aloysius' mother went to visit him in the hospital, he was still able to speak to his mother. But given the extent of his injuries, his condition made a turn for the worse. It deteriorated, and despite additional surgery and putting him on artificial life support, Aloysius eventually succumbed to his injuries.
You know, every serviceman is a son, it's a brother, a husband, or a father, and we owe it to them and to their loved ones that they return home safely. We are committed to the safety of all our soldiers, and we practice safety at all levels, and all servicemen have a part to play. I think we know that. On the one hand, we need our commanders to look after their soldiers, soldiers to look after themselves, the buddies to look after each other, and everyone has to know their role and to play their part in this system. And each time we have an incident in the SCF, we conduct detailed investigations and adopt and fully implement the recommendations and enforce safety enhancements. We do that. We learn from each incident, and our safety system is in place. You know, I see thousands of NSFs and NSmen on a regular basis. We engage them on their training. They're training every day to ensure a safe and secure Singapore. They work hard, they train hard, they're proud of what they do. It is a responsibility that they don't wear lightly on their sleeve. It is a responsibility. The service chiefs go around, they engage them, they train with them, they know that they take it seriously. And we have worked hard over the last couple of months. You know. We've worked hard over the last couple of months, learned from each incident, put in place better procedures, measures, practices. But we can do better. We can do better. So Chief of Army spoke about a safety timeout that he has called for the Army. They are taking it very seriously. Following the safety timeout, I've asked all the services in the SCF to come back and to review their training tempo with a view to lowering the training tempo. For how long? After the safety timeout, perhaps a month, 2. We will reduce our training tempo and review this across the SCF to focus on safety. To focus on safety for all our NSFs and NSmen. What does this mean? This will take the form of lowering the duration, the intensity, the frequency of existing training, take some things out, to do training better at a more sustainable pace, focus on safety. So all services will review this, lower their training tempo in the weeks ahead. This reduction of training tempo, following the safety timeout, will be enforced for as long as it takes for us to get this right. And we want to do it right. We want to do it safe for every activity. We want to do it right every time. As the Chief of Army has said, cannot be business as usual. So the SAF is extending our full support to Aloysius' family during this very, very difficult time. We understand. We are also helping whatever way we can. Okay, we have liaison officers over there. We are also doing our best from here. And we are deeply saddened by the loss of Aloysius. We will continue to provide the support necessary to the family in this very, very difficult time. Thank you.
Kevin from Straits Times. Chief Army, can you tell us more about what happened when the gun barrel was lowered? Were there any lapses discovered based on initial findings? For instance, was Aloysius not supposed to be there? And also, who made the call? Who made the call to lower the gun? How is it lowered, mechanically or the button? And so basically, in short, what any lapses discovered and what are they so far?
No, I think this will exactly be the focus of the investigation, and I think it may not be appropriate for me to go into a lot of details about the operations within the cabin and as well as what happened on the actual day. As I said, what we have right now is just initial findings from the unit in the field, but I would prefer that we wait until a full investigation is conducted to comment on some of this.
Hi, Kenneth from Today. Can I just follow up on that? So was he standing at that time? Who is in the standing position?
I think the initial findings suggest that he is standing at a point in time, but like I said, it will be difficult for us to make a very conclusive statement on this because we still have to await the full investigation.
Okay, and how long was he caught there for?
We do not have that detail right now.
The investigations are ongoing. I think you just let them come back to us on this one. Yeah, please.
So we understand that there were two other people with him, right? So were they inside with him? Were they injured as well? What were they doing when the gun barrel was lowered?
I think what I can say at this point, based on the initial findings, both personnel was in the cabin together with Aloysius at that point in time. And, in this case, Aloysius was the only one, unfortunately, who was injured.
I'm from Zaopao. Just wanted to ask a bit more about the lowering of the barrel. How is it done? Is it done from inside the cabin or is it done from outside?
Okay. The lowering of the gun barrel is performed from within the cabin. So I think it's performed from within the cabin. And as part of, as I said, they had to get the gun back to a standby position in order to do the diagnosis for the suspected fault.
Sorry, can I follow up? Who has the authority to lower the gun? Is it the commander or Aloysius and the other technician?
I think this question will be better able to answer because this will be some of the focus of the investigation itself, as I mentioned up front, and it will not be appropriate for me to go into a lot of details.
Just from a layman point of view, can you run us through what's the typical standard procedure for a repair procedure that Aloysius and his team was doing an exercise in New Zealand? What's the standard protocol for this kind of repair?
So usually when the gun or the operator detect a fault, they will activate the forward maintenance platoon, which Aloysius is part of the forward maintenance platoon, to diagnose the fault. If it's beyond the competency or the capability of the forward maintenance platoon, they will ask the regular technician, they are positioned behind, to come forward to diagnose the fault. So this is the current system that we have in exercise Thunder Warrior.
So the gun, when it was lowered to the standby position, does this mean that the fault has been rectified already? What does standby mean?
You can think of it like a neutral position for the gun barrel. So essentially they have to get the gun back to this standby position in order to perform the diagnosis and the possible rectification.
So the diagnosis has not been conducted.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what we understand.
So it's a SOP to lower the gun in order for the technician to diagnose the fault. Yeah.
David from the newspaper. You showed us a video of the gun being lowered. Was it being lowered in this case at that speed?
The video. Yeah.
Okay, the speed is a constant speed. It regardless of the mode of activating the lowering. So it goes in a constant speed. So the speed that you witness is the speed at which the gun is lowered.
In short, yes. Sir.
Yes. So the
In
answer
short,
is
to
yes.
answer your question,
Yeah.
yes.
That is a mechanical speed, is it?
Okay, there are a few modes to operate the lowering of the gun. There's a mechanical way, and there's also an automatic way. That means you press the button, the gun will automatically lower itself. And this is the speed you witness in the video.
In this case, was it manual or was it automatic?
Automatic.
In
Yes.
this case,
Fine.
Fred from CNA Digital. For this model of SSPH, how long has it been operational for, and what is the supposed lifespan?
The SSPH has been in operation since 2003. So as I mentioned, it's about 15 years in service. And we've put many units through the SSPH. And as I said, this is the first time we've witnessed a significant injury. The SSPH is still within its shelf life. What we do before every training exercise is that we actually go through a maintenance regime before shipment to the overseas country of exercise. And the correct procedure was followed in order to bring certified serviceable SSPH guns for this particular exercise in New Zealand.
Colonel Terry,
Yes.
so typically the technician is supposed to move away from the gun barrel, right? How much space does he have to move and how much time is needed to move out of the way?
Okay, so there's a certain safety protocol to follow in repair work in the cabin. So the technicians are taught to go to a safe place when they do certain maintenance tasks. Yeah, so this is part of their vocational training as a
How far
technician.
is the safe place from where he was?
Yes, so yeah,
How far was that?
the
I
cabin
don't
is,
have the details about where exactly, how far he was.
Yeah.
And like I said, that would be the focus on the investigation. And I think all of us understand at this point, it's best not for us to prejudice the investigation that may.
I think you can also see from the pictures.
it is it's quite tight.
Hassan from Channel 8. First of all, is this his first time doing repair work? And has he gone through a refresher course?
Okay, so for Aloysius, this is not his first time. In fact, this is his 7 in-camp training. He has done 5 high key and 2 low key. Prior to Exercise Thunder Warrior, he has attended maintenance vocational training, refresher training. In fact, when he landed in New Zealand, he was given a just-in-time refresher training before training starts. So it is definitely not Aloysius' first time maintaining the system.
Just following up on that part, that when the thing is lower, the space is supposed to be, there's supposed to be a SOP that they need to move out of that area, is that? So, did he move out or is it like he stay there or is it like move out not final?
I think what is reasonable for us to conclude from the initial findings, as I said, he was unable to get out of the way to a safe position in time. So why exactly that happened, I think that would be the focus of our investigations.
Okay, I understand a bit more about the howitzer. So is it an open turret or is it enclosed? So when he's standing inside, was he half exposed outside?
In this case, he was inside the cabin.
Okay, so fully inside.
Fully.
And was he facing the gun or facing away?
That is something that we do not know for sure, but that is something that we hope the investigation will uncover.
Okay. And one more technical question. When the gun is being lowered, usually how many seconds does it take from the elevator to the lower?
On average, it takes about 9 to 10 seconds. Yeah.
But I must qualify that really depends on the starting position of the barrel.
Dr. No, Kenneth from today again. Just like to find out what was the extent of his injury. So he was crushed. We understand that part of his intestines were removed. He injured his lung. What was the extent of his injury?
I think the term we use is we term it as a major trauma injury and involving multiple organs, but I wouldn't go into the details.
Right.
Requiring surgery and ICU care.
So initially, Dr. Teo, who
Yeah.
was flown in to assist
Right.
with the to assist the That
Yeah.
was on Monday.
Yeah.
Why the sudden deterioration?
Yeah.
What was the cause?
Yeah, so maybe let me explain that all kinds of diseases have a certain clinical cause. Just to share, like a fracture of the arm, right, will take 6 weeks to heal, and we expect certain types of complication. So for major trauma patients, we also know that there's a certain clinical cause. So for Aloysius, the first 2 surgeries were planned. The first one was life-saving, and the second one was a planned surgery. And after that, when I spoke to Dr. Teo and the New Zealand team, they told me that they are already expecting complications. You cannot, have such a severely injured patient and not expect complications. So they are already expecting complications. They just don't know when it will set in. So when he started to deteriorate, they knew that the complications had started, and that's when the 3rd surgery happened, and subsequently he was put on artificial life support.
Okay, so these were post-operative complications.
These were complications that are expected for any major trauma patients, not particularly related to the surgery. I'm not sure if you're alluding to the quality of care. So just to share that Waikato Hospital is a tertiary center. That means that it's got the entire suite of clinical services, cardiac surgery, neurosurgery, and so on. And over and above that, it is a regional trauma center. So not all tertiary centers are trauma centers, but in this case, Waikato Hospital is both. That means they see a high volume of such trauma. So he is in a facility that can take care of his kind of condition, including the complications that arise from it.
Is that like internal bleeding or what are the complications?
It's a bit technical, yeah,
You don't mind.
but
You can go
but it's medical in confidence also, so I prefer not to.
Glenn,
Yeah.
you had a question?
Just wanted to go back to the triggering of the barrel. Can it be activated from outside or only somebody inside the cabin? And also, once the lowering of the barrel has started, can it be stopped?
As I said, the operation of the barrel is done from internal to the cabin, right? There are mechanisms for us to potentially stop the barrel, but like I said, we do not know what exactly has happened in this case.
Can you elaborate on the mechanisms to stop the barrel? What mechanisms are these?
I must admit that I may not be most familiar with the actual mechanisms, but our understanding is that there is possible mechanisms to stop the lowering of the barrel.
Sorry, follow on this, Colonel Perry, can I ask, because this one was a question of SOPs, but can you go into detail on the SOPs pertaining to the lowering of the gun barrel? What must be done? Do you need to, the commander needs to say something, everyone needs to move in. Can you take us through the process when, the gun barrel has to be lowered? So and the Colonel mentioned it was an automatic mode that was activated, in this process.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, the operator and the technician has to link up and discuss about the plan to repair. I think that's the most important. So after the discussion, then there will be a command that will be given to lower the barrel, and then there will be a verbal warning that will be given, and the commander will check clear the cabin before the button is pressed to lower the barrel. So this is the process to lower the barrel.
How does the commander check this? Is it visual or, because I mean it's small enough.
Yeah. So there are two. There is a verbal warning that's given, and you will visually turn back and check clear.
So are you guys aware of anything that could have impeded this movement in the cabin?
At this point, we are not aware of anything that could have impeded this movement.
Can I ask, sorry, a question again? So are 3 men the norm to perform this maintenance and repair, or it's actually there should only be 2 people?
Yeah.
And also the other 2 people that were with Aloysius, have they gone through the same refresher course as well?
Okay, so usually when we deploy technicians, they usually go in buddies. This is to make sure that they can look after one another. In this case, there's only one technician that is deployed inside the cabin to troubleshoot the fault.
There's only one deployed inside.
Excluding Aloysius. So
there's
if you ask me,
only
it's 2
four.
of them, yes.
So the commander is
It is the commander of the gun. He's inside the cabin. Yeah, so altogether there are 2 technicians, and the commander of the gun is inside the cabin. In total 3.
So all three were maybe inside.
Yes.
And there's
Sorry,
all done.
Colonel, can you confirm whether the 2 things, whether the button or the automatic procedure was it activated accidentally or with, you know, the procedure was followed, but maybe towards the end the check. The second thing is, can we confirm that 2 others did not suffer any injuries at all?
So the first one, I think we leave it to the investigation. To be frank, it's not fair for me to comment at the moment. Yeah.
And then the injuries?
For the other two.
The other 2 is
There were no
there were no
injuries.
injuries to the other 2. Yeah.
What about for exercise Thunder Warrior? I understand that it's supposed to run till the 2nd of February. Has it been cut?
At this point in time, we have imposed, as I said, an army-wide safety timeout. This will apply to overseas training like exercise Thunder Warrior. So right now, the exercise is not proceeding. They will go through the same refresher and currency and a reinforcement of the drills. And then as we speak, we are hoping that we can get more people from his unit in New Zealand to be able to give him a send-off when eventually we are able to bring his body back to Singapore.
Just to add on this point, the Army has called for a safety timeout. I'll just reiterate that following this, at the SAF level, we will review the training tempo. Okay, and the services will come back by giving this high level of attention to review the training tempo so that we can focus on safety for all our NSFs and for our NSMN. This is what we will do.
So the safety timeout, does this mean that in simple terms, the exercise is cut?
So the exercise is not proceeding at this point. It depends on when we are certain to leave the restriction on each individual training. And so at this point in time, we have not totally cut the exercise. The NS men are in theatre. And as I said, they are subject to the same process during this army-wide safety time.
Maybe you can explain a bit more about what's going on in the Army in the safety timeout.
So the safety timeout, essentially all field training, live firing will not proceed. And as I explained, exercise Thunder Warrior is an artillery live firing exercise. So that part of the exercise has been stopped for now.
Sorry, this question is for the CDF. There's been some public criticism in the wake of the incident that the way the SAF put out information is incomplete and came in drips and drabs. There was no information on circumstances surrounding the accident and the extent of the injuries. Why was there that initial secrecy around this?
Well, I don't think there was any secrecy. In fact, I think we were trying to be as proactive, actually, in what we could release. As many questions have been asked over here, there are certain things that we can't say, but I think we have done as much as we can to be as proactive. We can always be better, of course, but I think we've done as much as we can. The frequency of the updates, and also in terms of a lot of the focus has been on also not only in the information but also in supporting his family, his loved ones, to go up there and to be by his side and to give him the best chance of a recovery as possible in the initial. So that was pretty much the focus, and we did as much as we could.
This is the fourth case since 2018 in spate of military training related incidents. So what do you say to parents of NS boys, who are concerned by this, seeing yet another training related death?
Yeah. Like I said, our parents, and we are all parents, many of us are. Our parents come to the BMP graduation parade, and I see the pride in their eyes when they see their children grow in national service. Parents are proud of their children serving national service. But on the other hand, it is our responsibility to ensure the safety of their children. And we must ensure that parents are assured. To the parents, I will say this, that as a system, the SCF has put in place a good system. For all the incidents that have occurred, for all the findings that have been and recommendations on how to improve the safety system, we have fully brought them on board. Be it in the areas of heat injuries or be in the areas of vehicle safety. I think we don't shirk away from this, and we always want to be better. And we have improved. And our system and the emphasis of the commanders, especially in the Army over the last couple of incidents, they've been going at it. And I think the safety system is in a better place. But going forward, what we will do is that we will lower the tempo. I think first you have to have your safety timeout, which the Army has correctly done. And thereafter, all services will come back on how they view the tempo of operations. It's too fast, it's too intense, it's too many things, too frequent. And from there, we will do a dedicated review of the training tempo, and we will take a look at it holistically within each service and see what we can do to maybe lower the tempo so that they can focus more on safety and do things better, do things well, do things safely. They will come back to me. They will come back to me on this one.
Just to follow up on that point, as Ben mentioned, at least 4 training deaths in the past 1.5 years, all under your watch. First, that's Chief of Army, and then Chief of Defence Force. Are you worried that, despite the things that you've said, bringing on board these safety measures, are you worried that there are systemic lapses that you haven't successfully dealt with?
We have a ERPSS. Okay, I will say that this is external review panel on safety that we have, ERPSS, and the ERPSS has consistently told us, and as external review panel on SAF safety, and they have been formed to oversee the conduct of safety and systems reviews from MINDEF and the SAF. From them, they have consistently ascertained that the systems are in place. The systems are in place, and we listen to them. I think the facts are that they visited almost 14 SAF formations in their last cycle, and they actively go around and analyze various parts of the Army and the SAF. Interim progress reports will also be provided to MINDEF leadership from the ERPSS. So we are always in constant contact with them. But to the system, I would say the system is largely in place. It is in place. But we can do better. We can do better, and which is why we are going to review the training tempo. And I believe that once we lower the training tempo so that it will give us more time to ascertain the optimum level of activity, the right emphasis and the right training activity level, I think this will put us in a better state.
Just one asking about the tempo, right? Does it mean that in this past few months or few years, does it increase the intensity or frequency, like in these 2 years? Or it's the same?
Well, I think for the training tempo, we believe that lowering the training tempo will give ground commanders, NSFs, NSmen in units, a bit more capacity to review fundamental training, safety in training, and to ascertain the right biting point, review their systems and processes in a more holistic way. Okay. Of course, I said this will follow from the safety timeout, so we need to lower the tempo in order to have a review and do things better.
Does this mean that previously the training tempo was too intense? Was there actually feedback given by people on the ground that there are too many things, there are too many tasks to complete? Is that why?
I think this will be part of the review.
Last question. Can I also get you to comment on the fact that if you review the training tempo, and you mentioned that you will do this for as long as it takes, how it's going to affect SAF's operational capability?
We will do this for units in training, but we will keep our operations constant and deployment. So this will not affect operations and will not affect soldiers and troops on deployment.
When is the logistics body expected to deploy and
Joey, you want to cover any of this?
On when the body will be brought back, right now we don't have a confirmed time. We are in touch with the New Zealand authorities on this because the death occurred in New Zealand, so we do have to liaise with them on that part. Your second question was on?
Have there been any preliminary arrangements worked out with the family in terms of compensation or other arrangements?
Well, specifically on compensation. Okay, as a baseline, we always say that we follow the principles under the Civil Code as well as the Workman Compensation Injury and Compensation Act. In fact, in many cases, we are much more generous than that. But due to confidential reasons, we do not speak about the specific compensation for the families. This is something that we will only speak to the families about. But I think on overall support, I think COA and so on have mentioned throughout this entire journey, the SAF has been there all this while. We have professional counsellors with the family throughout this process, and we are in constant contact with them through the liaison officers on the ground to understand their needs, and we will lean forward as much as we can to support the family through this difficult time.
You said that you're still liaising with the New Zealand authorities when the body will be brought back. Do you have an expected?
I don't have any details at this point in time.
Weekend, early next week.
I am unable to comment at this time.
Sorry, can I just see this? Sorry, just to confirm. You mentioned you have asked all the services to review the training tempo. The Chief of Army said also has asked the Army to review the training tempo, but you said with a view to lowering the tempo. Has the decision already been made to lower the tempo? It's just a matter of question of intensity to what pace, and does when if a decision has been made, when would the actual lowering take place?
So the Army is doing a safety timeout at the moment.
So
Yeah.
like I said, a safety timeout, we have actually stopped training. This gives us a time to do a proper review of the training tempo. We have actually started the process right now. So I think we'll allow every formation, every unit to go through that process more deliberately, and then we can come up with measures to purposefully reduce the training tempo going forward. And so I hope that answers your
Because
question.
now there's the review process. When does the actual, when will the services start operating for the lower tempo?
So they'll come back to us on their plans very, very soon, next couple of days.
But the decision has been made to lower it.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
But can I just finish? I'll say that, we will, I think the focus at the moment is on supporting the family. We'll do what we can, and it's a very sad moment, but we'll do what we can. We take this very seriously. We give this a lot of high level attention. Parents entrust their sons to national service. We can do better. We will. Okay, so we believe that we'll get to the bottom of it. Okay, we'll do our best. Thank you. Thank you.